videos.
Shut up and sit down.
All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's another beautiful day here in Florida, and we have the motor out. So diving right into it. Obviously the J32 is out of there, so I got most of the miscellaneous stuff off, and I can actually start pulling. I'm gonna pull the front head first to see if we can figure out what's going on in there. Then this is actually the J35A3. So anyone that's commented in the past video where I asked to see what you guys wanted me to do, should I continue the stock motor builds and see what they can do? But again, a lot of you guys already commented, and what I've already said is I think we pretty much know what they can handle and what the weak points are going to be. Really safely, I think 450, 500 max is going to be the power level that you want to go with a completely bone stock, stock pistons, stock rings, stock ring gap, stock rods, basically complete stock lower and bottom end. Now, if you wanted to pull that motor, pull the pistons and re-gap them, I think you could do 600, 650. And that's the max I would go there. Honestly, I'd probably be 600. So where completely stock, bone stock J-series motor, I would say 450, 500. If you simply pull the pistons, re-gap the rings, I would say 600. And that's a good amount of power, guys, for like a 3 liter, a 3.2, or a 3.5. So, all right, so some great news for you guys. If anybody was ever wondering, my car is considered a Gen 2, or what I consider a Gen 2 J-series. That is where the cylinder heads, they don't have the traditional header style multi-port exit heads like that. That's a Gen 1. They all come into one. It's next, another telltale sign is this: if you have a Gen 1, is going to be the oil dipstick is exposed on the outside, where on the Gen 2 they're right there. And then the only thing that would really differentiate the Gen 3 from the Gen 2, this is the Gen 2. If you look at the bell housing, where is it? The bell housing is actually squared off, where the Gen 3 style is completely round. But I was looking at the Gen 1 motor. This is a J35A3 out of a Honda Odyssey. Everything looks like it will match up. The only differences right now that I can see here are obviously the heads, but I'm focusing on the block because you would need to move your heads over because they just run differently, because these injector ports right here on the runners are different sizes. They also have an extra vacuum port. So there's a few discrepancies and a few differences between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2. But what I was really focusing on is if I can run this J35A3 block. And this accessory mounting bracket is for the compressor, the AC compressor, and it looks like one of these bolts, I think it's this one, will not line up, and I think that's okay. I think these three will hold it just fine. Then the only thing right now that I am not sure of is this guy, the accessory pulley tensioner. I'm not sure if that accessory belt tensioner will line up properly. That's the only thing left, you guys. Outside of that, looking around, it looks like everything else is fine and will match up perfectly. So I can actually run a Gen 1 block in my technically Gen 2 car. So I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to go well. And then this this will actually open the door a lot for you guys if you are, sourcing a new motor, or you simply just want more displacement. Now you'll know that you can actually go with a first gen block, where a lot of people are like, you got to go with this specific vehicle. Not exactly true, you know what I mean? I think you guys understand what I'm saying, where like a 03 to 07 Accord, a lot of people say the only thing you can straight swap in, which is true, the only thing you can straight swap in is an 04 to 06 Acura TL, the 3.2 liter. But what they don't say is that you can go down a generation, get that block, swap the heads over, and then technically you're running a Gen 1 3.5 liter block because it has the squared off bell housing. And then everything else, like like I said before, there's a few differences. The crank sensor, from what I can see, the crank sensor is different. So I'm going to need to move my crank sensor from the J32A3 over to the J35A3. Few differences there, but I just want to let you guys know there is hope. So if you needed, like, if you found a Gen 1 older J35 and you wanted to run that, it can be done. So just keep that in mind, guys. And as always, guys, whenever I'm working with the cylinder head or anything kind of structural that needs to be torqued down properly, I always look back to the manual to make sure I follow that sequence in reverse when taking them off, because that will usually lead to warp heads if you torque them down the wrong way or whatnot. So always if you have a manual, stick to it. So if you take a look, guys, that is a lot of oil in the head right there. That is, like, right there, look at that, it's just pulled up right there. That is a lot. That should not be like that whatsoever. Obviously there should be some oil, but look at that, that's a shitload of oil. Alright, guys, the head pulled off really easily. Ooh, what is that? Yep. You look at that. Alright, guys, I don't know if you can see that. Let me take this off. You see that scoring all through that cylinder right there? You see that right there? What is that? Yeah. Oop, there you go. Look at that. I don't know if you guys can see it. Fuck. There's a chunk of the piston missing right there. Can you see it right there? At the top, you see how it's round against the wall, and then boom, it comes off of the wall. Let me see if I can get you guys a better picture, but it's a piston. Here you go. This should be a better picture. Look at that, dude. You see that big chunk right there missing? The rest of the piston. Ooh, even down there. What the fuck? Look at that. Even right there. It's chipped off. Boom, chip. Yep. So it looks like the ring expanded on, it looks like the top pinched, caught there, wedged up against the piston ringland, and then it had nowhere, so it pinches like that, and then it kind of like folds up, it has nowhere to go, and it ends up cracking one of the ringlands. So there it is, you guys. Let's look at the other pistons. Looks pretty good. This one looks exactly the same. Looks like we got a little score there. So maybe this one's doing the same thing. I don't know if you guys can see that. You see that little score mark right there running across there? Alright, so that's that. This can be, yeah, you can't even feel it with your fingernails. That can be removed. This, I could feel that. It's like something's built up there. It's like a piece of metal flashed and like welded itself to the wall. Super weird. Alright, guys, well, it looks like for sure it is this. This kind of leaves me on like what to do. Should I pull this apart and then bring those pistons over, put them in here, and then be done with it? I think I'm going to do that instead of going with the J35. Leave this J35 alone. I will pull those pistons, I will gap them properly, and then that will be a backup to this. And then that is going to be the built motor. That's going to be the J35 A7 built motor. And what a lot of you guys don't understand or don't know, for the OG guys that know, the reason I went with that motor specifically is because it's the only J series motor that I know of that has piston oil squirters. So it has these little squirters that actually squirt oil onto the bottom side of the piston to cool them down, and I think that is going to be not a huge key, but I think it's going to help a lot with keeping the cylinder temps down and helping the longevity and the lifespan of the motor. All right, I'm gonna pull the second head off. There we go. Yeah, man, these ARP studs are fucking awesome. They're so nice. All right, let's go ahead and check over. Let's check over this guy real quick. Oh yeah, cylinders look great, man. Look really good, except for this one has some weird oil consumption there, so I need to check that other piston too, but it has it there. So let's go over it. Head looks great, you guys, no issues there. And like I said, look at that right there. That is the salvage that's the salvage yard stamp so they know that it was actually theirs. Like I said, guys, these are all junkyard motors. Junkyard motor. The only OEM stock one is my old J30 that went 200,000 miles. 100,000 miles was on 100 shot of nitrous. Yeah, guys, all these both gaskets, head gaskets, look great. I don't see any sign of it pushing through. That is just from the other chunks. The other side there is on the head, but you would see literally shit getting pushed through into the water jackets or out of the water jackets, and I don't see any of that. And guys, this is like the fourth set of Apex head gaskets I've ran. Fucking beautiful. I love them. That's the only gasket I run now is the Apex. So a lot of people hate on aftermarket, but shows you right here, this guy was pushing about 580, 600 wheel horsepower and doing just fine. Good old ARP head studs held up too. What I'm doing now, I have some 800 grit wet and dry sandpaper. You can see I already started here. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna lightly sand this surface on the cylinder sleeves. I want to inspect it for any type of hairline cracks or anything like that. So like I said, just a light sand. I'm really not putting any pressure on it. Very super light, if any. And I'm just trying to get the majority of the black stuff off so I can see what exactly it is. And I would not be doing this, guys, obviously, if this was fully assembled or if it wasn't going to be disassembled and cleaned. I'm going to pull the pistons and I'm going to re-hone. And this right here is really what I'm worried about. You guys can't see it right now, but I don't even know what it is. It looked like something got in there, probably part of the piston, and it probably just nudged right there or caught the wall a little bit. So I could feel a little bit of it, you guys, but I really think it's I think it could be honed out with a light honing. Yeah, let me see here. See, like right there, that almost looks like it's cracking right there, but you guys can't see that either. So this is what I'm gonna do for now. All right, as you can see, guys, these sleeves look great. I actually don't I don't want to rotate the motor over because I don't want to do any more damage to this cylinder that has already been done. But okay, maybe there's not. So maybe it's just this one side. So it looks like only this upper side on cylinder number 4 is cracked, or piston, I'm sorry. Everything else looks good. That's just a bunch of built up oil right there. Looking further at every other cylinder, all the pistons look good. For some reason this side looks actually pretty dry. I don't know why. Looks dry and gritty. I don't know what gives there. And then this side is like oily. I understand why this side's oily. Not sure why this side's like gritty almost. Like, can you see that? I don't know what that is. Very interesting. But I'm going to examine these cylinder walls a little more, or these cylinder sleeves, and then I'm going to remove the ARP head studs, and I will probably lift the motor, pull the pan, and start pulling the pistons out that way. Hopefully I don't have to remove the transmission at all. That would be great. Leave that thing on, pull the pistons, inspect, rehone, pull other pistons, re-gap the rings, put it back in, good to go. Alright guys, that's it for now. I hope you liked the video. As always, please thumbs up, please like, share. Just doing those simple things will really help out the channel and help us grow, especially the J-Series community. As you guys know, we don't have that much going on. I do have some really big news coming up. My Patreon account, or my Patreon customers and supporters, they already know this information, but I'm gonna withhold that for a little bit. But it's very exciting, especially for the entire J-Series community, guys. Hopefully we're gonna do very big things. Like I said before, as always, please like, please thumbs up, please share. If you would like to register for Q&A, you can do that through Patreon /HalferLand Performance. And as always guys, thank you so much. Stay tuned because you know there's more to come.